Welcome to Disrupted Science, the occasional conversation between the authors of the upcoming book, How the Internet Disrupted Science, now available for pre-order. I'm Kent Anderson, here with my co-author Joy Moore, and today is Wednesday, April 29th, 2026. Hey, Joy.
Hey, Kent. How's it going?
It's going fine, thanks. Hey, by the way, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't thank Michael Magoulias again for doing our
Absolutely.
host in
Yeah.
the last podcast. He did a great job, and it was really a lot of fun what we did with him. So he's great.
Yeah. No, and we really appreciate it. And if anybody else wants to come on as a guest host or a uh, interviewee, we'd
A
love to have
guest,
you.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we like having guests. We think we're
hmm
pretty nice to them. I think we're pretty nice.
I think so. We're
Yeah,
not,
we try to
yeah.
be. We
But
realize you're doing us a favor. So
yeah. Oh,
yeah,
also, if anybody wants to come in and argue with us, that'd be
we'd
terrific
be nice
too.
too. I was
Yeah.
watching the a video that I texted you, and it'll be in our text this week for the author of that, or the guy who's behind that new documentary about crypto scams. And he
hmm
was talking about how it was a PBS interview, and he was talking about how it's good to be a skeptic because if you're a skeptic and somebody comes in and says you're wrong and they can prove it, you're like, oh, okay, you accept it.
Yeah.
Because if you're really a skeptic, you're like, yeah, prove me. If you prove me wrong, that's like the best thing ever, and I'm all down with
Absolutely.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Teach me something I don't know. I'm all for it.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
just I just want to anyhow. So, teach me one thing I don't know about bluebirds.
So the bluebird update is the fledglings have left the nest and
Ah,
they've flown away. I didn't get the head count, but there were 6 eggs and now they're all gone.
okay.
Um, but they've just moved over to the birdhouse across the way and now they
Mm.
are all pooping on my car. So
Well, that's what happens. That's what happens out in the sticks with the birds and
yeah.
moving around with the birds in the cul-de-sac.
I'm glad that they survived their incubation and grew up and now they're little tiny terrorists. Good for
Oh,
them.
little poop terrorists. Yeah, watch those flyovers. They're pretty nasty. So, but today we want to talk to you about a paper that involved Eric Topol.
hmm
And I think a lot of people caught this because it kind of became a big deal. And it's a fake paper with fake authors. Topol's just one of them. Real people, but fake attribution of authorship. And he's one of the most prominent names in, unfortunately, what we have to call mainstream medicine today.
Yeah,
Because,
he's one of the voices of reason um,
mhm,
amongst a gaggle of nonsense.
right, bunch six bluebirds of poop. And so we looked at this and looked at this and looked at this, and we think there are some useful things to tease out and maybe a misdiagnosis on his part. Because again, one of the things that good or bad, makes me happy or sad that we know a lot about is what goes on in the systems and the incentive structures behind scientific publications. So we think he may have misdiagnosed it, and we want to talk a little bit about that, how that might lead to a different idea about how to cure the problem.
hmm
But you have really done some yeoman-like work about a couple of other papers about psychedelics. So,
Yeah, when the news came out about Trump trying to pronounce ibogaine and with uh, his good his bestest ratings boosting frenemy Joe Rogan in the White
right,
House, I had to be like, what are you talking about? So Joe Rogan cited a paper and apparently, tweeted at or direct message Trump to say this is an important thing and it needs to be fast tracked in the FDA. So as with everything that goes on in this kind of policy-based evidence administration, there's
Hmm.
always a paper trail. So, what is the paper that he was talking about? Where did it come from? And what did it say?
Right.
So, it was a paper out of Stanford, fancy name.
Hmm.
There were actually two papers, one in Nature Medicine and one in another Nature journal that were published 18 months apart, by this kind of the same author group.
Right. But it had the same last author and the same corresponding author, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. And
So
the title,
who was the same person?
who was the same person? Yes.
Hmm.
So the title of the paper is Psychoactive Drug Ibogaine Effectively Treats Traumatic Brain Injury in Special Ops Military Vets.
Now, is that the title of the paper or the press release?
Oh, sorry, that's the title of the press release. You are
Right.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have the title of the paper at hand, but this is this is the headline that got Joe Rogan's attention,
Right.
is that psychedelics, veterans, good stuff.
Right.
Let's go all the way to the White House.
Right.
The paper,
In the midst of the Iran war, an
yes,
unpopular war. Right.
yeah. And it was a small study. It was 30 military vets, reported positive outcomes, which is great. And I hope it's helpful for people. But this is not the way we normally fast track drug approvals through the FDA, and 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 it opens the window for a lot of other kind of psychedelic drug approvals. Again, I'm not
Yeah.
a doctor. I don't know if it's good or bad,
Well,
but
let's talk about, there are a couple of other issues that, because we both looked at this, that so those 30 military vet patients were all male.
mhm,
It was the same 30 in both studies from all we can tell.
mhm,
The first study, both studies were actually very tentative in their conclusions when
yeah,
you read the actual papers. And this happens all the time. Once a press
that
office or a journalist who with a wanting to get clickbait out there, whoever has an attention economy goal, all of a sudden these preliminary findings become very definitive.
right.
And
And
that can be just a whipsaw kind of thing for science because the author was actually, if you read the paper, it's kind of like, yeah, this bears further research. We got these kind of indirect, potentially positive readings from the people receiving ibogaine, but we aren't sure they're how they relate to this or that or the other thing. So, bears further research.
yeah, and
Yeah,
like any good paper.
right.
And we should mention that, very sadly, the senior researcher has since passed away. He took his life, um, and so he's not here to, you know, to talk about what's going on with his research.
Right.
But why are they doing it now? And I think,
Mm-hmm.
the context of cherry picking certain scientific articles is always really interesting. I mean, I probably spend way too much time reading news and saying, okay, where did this paper come from, and why is it this one, and why is it now?
Folks,
And
we have some classic Google Docs in stored on ice in case we ever need them.
yeah, oh gosh, yeah, the forensics on my computer would be scary. Um, um, but why are they doing it now? Yes, because of the war, but also once you dig a little bit deeper, it's about money. It's about
Hmm.
politics and money. And so the fast track for this executive order for FDA approval of a single drug for a single indication is based on money going to Texas, where
Hmm.
Joe Rogan also happens to live.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so let me read you a quote, from this is from the Microdose Substack, who
Okay.
tracks a lot of these things. Trump's executive order comes at a crucial time for Texas. In December, UT Health Houston and the University of Texas Medical Branch at Galveston were awarded $50 million from the state of Texas to lead the Ibogaine clinical trials. At the time, a drug developer partner stipulated had not been confirmed. On March 31st, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick and House Speaker Dustin Burrows announced that Texas would lead Ibogaine clinical trials without a drug developer and said that they intend to fully fund this program. On that same day, Perry and Hubbard went in to record Rogan's podcast.
Mm-hmm.
In an interview with Microdose, Hubbard said he and Perry had high hopes for advancing psychedelic reform in Texas and beyond, based on Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s support. But Hubbard felt that there were people in President Trump's administration who opposed psychedelics. He said that in a...
Can't have that.
No, you can't be against psychedelics. And so that's where Rogan came in.
Mm-hmm.
So he got a bunch of money for Texas and got...
Well, I mean, so the executive order was to basically just bypass anybody with qualms about deploying psychedelics in this program for Texas, and made it and just cleared the path so the $50 million could go straight out to fund all of these people.
Yeah, and they're doing it. They're doing it through ARPA, not through the NIH, not through NSF. It's a runaround funding, and they concluded by saying Texas will likely be joined by other states that have passed similar Ibogaine bills.
Right. So it's an Ibogaine boondoggle done for politics and political points in the midst of an unpopular war, and to give money to Texas because there are a lot of electoral votes there and a lot of supporters and Rogan is there too, and a lot of Trump's political allies. So there you go.
And this is all happening at the same time that we all know that they have slashed funding for VA benefits, VA hospital research to go to veterans. They're picking on one drug for one indication with a small sample size, while they are also... The other day I heard Pete Hegseth say that uniformed military people don't have to get the flu vaccine anymore.
Right.
Like, so that's...
George Washington was an idiot to even start that whole trend.
Yeah. Not to mention, I don't know, World War II and, things like that.
Military preparedness and...
Yeah, so they're just, it's just obnoxious. And so they keep cutting money for things that will help people, and they're dumping money into things that will help themselves.
Yep. Par for the course. But this paper, so it's just interesting how, again, in this very distorted, warped media space, a podcaster who, is vacillating now between, trashing Trump and adoring him, sees a way to help his state get money and sees a way to look patriotic. It's all image, right?
Yeah.
It's all image. And then they don't care about money because they figure they're going to get their money and run and leave everybody else holding the bag. And they're probably right in that regard. But it's just as cynical as hell. So, and a misuse of the scientific record. But now, speaking of a misuse of the scientific record, let's move on to the main topic today. Ding, ding, ding. Eric Topol's Strange Week with a Fake Paper. So last week, a weird set of events unspooled, starting with Eric Topol, the famous physician researcher, podcast host, who is currently all about longevity, finding his name falsely attributed to a paper from a publisher nobody had ever heard of. It also revealed a new special combo scam by a fake publisher that we think is worth diving in. So
Yep.
let's talk about it. And so
This,
the paper was, of course, a systematic review, like all the good fake papers are.
yeah, can we talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, please.
And we've talked about it before, but these, air quotes systematic reviews are all over the place. There's even, I think I can't remember which publishers, like launching a whole new suite of reviews journals.
Mm-hmm.
These are like,
I think it's Springer Nature, actually.
yeah, these are, set it and forget it AI generated stuff, right?
Yeah, it's what AI is good at is stochastically processing a bunch of existing text and barfing out what will
Yeah,
look like a fairly convincing review. So that's why these things are
right. You
proliferating
can
so
just
much.
well, and it's prompt engineering. It's like I would
Hmm.
like to prove that this equals this. Please, churn up whatever you can find and spit it out. And so,
Right. Well, actually, what's even worse is these things are so sycophantic and so eager to please and so
mhm.
designed to please that, in my experience, you only need to put in a couple of words, and it assumes that you want something, you want to prove an association or prove a positive result about
That's
that topic.
true.
You
Yeah,
don't need to engineer prompts at all because the system's engineered to make you look good and feel good.
or tell you what they think you want to know. So,
Hmm. Yeah.
um, and then
But
these papers also cite lots of other papers, so that's
hmm.
creating this mountain of citation slop on
Yep.
top of it,
Yep.
that's getting counted and things like that. So yeah, these are weird book reports. But anyway, let's go back to Eric Topol and how he was maligned by this fake paper. He posted about it on Blue Sky, and
Hmm.
he made some like, we've got to do something about this. And you
Right.
and I were like, all right, let's look into it.
Yeah. So, of course, the paper was all about AI integration in digital health systems, and it was written by an AI. So it's totally circular. And then I went on the other day after this all happened, and I put in something to ChatGPT, and I said, "Write me a paper as if Eric Topol has written it."
Oh,
And
yeah.
it wrote me a paper on on basically the same topic.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So this is how easy it is. I mean, these systems know famous authors and they
Hmm.
know what they write about. I mean, I'm using know knowingly.
Yeah.
They've
Well,
they've
they have
they've
indexed.
inferred correctly.
Yeah, they've indexed what has been written, and these are text extruding machines who
Right.
know how to mimic mimic what's been written before.
Right. So when this happened, so he wasn't the only author falsely attributed, but he's the most famous one. So he wrote, "This is a fraudulent paper, AI generated. My name was used as an author and I had nothing to do with it. Never saw it until today." And then the URL is interesting. It's e-pubmed.co.uk. And if you go back, that's a problematic URL that has been associated with a lot of, well, I don't know how many, but it's been taken down a couple of times
Hmm.
for various reasons. And I didn't go back and examine all the reasons, but the fact that there are these big gaps that suggest that it was a problem in the past. But then he also said this journal should be reported,
Right.
which raises the question of to whom?
Well, he also called out the editors, right?
Right, right,
The
yeah, yeah,
editors
yeah.
and the journal. So there's no editors, and there's no journal, right?
Right, right. It's
And
all
and there's
pretend.
and there's nobody to report it to. Um,
Right, right.
so
So the URL, they said that, PubMed in our domain name refers to publishing media as an independent designation. Like that's a thing. You and I always talk about each other as publishing media experts, right? PubMed experts. Yeah.
Oh yeah. PubMed
That's
doesn't
how we
mean
talk. That's how
it
people on the
doesn't
street
mean
talk.
PubMed is not like PubMed. It's publishing media.
Media.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Because
I
we're
love the scammer creativity is amazing. This one has everything. I feel like Stefan from Saturday Night Live. It's got E. It's got PubMed and it's
Right.
got co.uk. So
I
it's
know.
like online, PubMed, and fancy all at once. And it's all fake.
That's right. So bring your glitter paint and bring no, yeah, Stefan was a great character. But then Stefan would also appreciate this. The publisher had the look and feel of Springer Nature and was called Ellinger Publishing Media, which what in the world? That's just
Yeah,
like such a
and
great made up word.
right. Well,
Ellinger.
there's an E, which might sound like might invoke Elsevier, but then
Right.
it's the blue font of Springer Nature.
Oh,
Um,
it's
ah,
it's a beautiful
it's so good.
yeah, it's almost a what am I trying to an homage. But
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
but where do they live?
they live
Where?
in a shared workspace in London in a fancy area in Soho. So it's
Oh,
not like they don't have money to live on the third floor above a Zara department store or something like that. I mean, come on, let's be Ellinger is has a certain air to it. But then what was really interesting is, to me at least, and I think this gets to a deeper and more fundamental topic, which is the there was a PDF. It since has been taken down and removed in an HTML landing page, but they all resolved to a DOI on Zenodo.
hmm.
So this was like the super clever thing. They did kind of an overlay journal approach, but then they posted the paper on Zenodo. And it's interesting. So using the preprint infrastructure to do
Hmm.
a fake overlay journal, you don't have to index jack an existing journal. And Zenodo is, the king of the shrug when it comes to things on their site. They're just like, whatever, it's all open, whatever. And but then because it was Eric Topol, he actually did get people to like step up and address
Hmm.
the issue, which is another problem here. This is the kind of thing that we keep seeing, which is a failure of governance. When we have um, people of eminence or actual legal findings leading to us doing the right thing, but we don't do the right thing ourselves. We just can't bring it upon ourselves to do the right thing, even though we know what it is. So pretty soon after, the preprint was removed by the owner under the guise of copyright infringement,
The
which it
owner
seemed
of
like the
the
owner
owner
of
of
the
the
fake preprint.
fake. Okay.
So Terminator, I guess. I guess Terminator came back in time and removed it. um, but Zenodo allows things to be removed within 30 days. And there was no APC charge. There was no risk of
So
money laundering.
it's just gone. There's no notice that it ever existed. It's like
Right.
it's just a hard delete. Whoops,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
gone. It's been removed. I have a download of it, but that's what it was. So it also claimed support from three funders, including Wellcome Trust, and
I love that.
which just
The AI bots, they are so good. They are so good. Yeah. I'm sure
yeah,
this
they're
paper
great at faking
there
us
was no
out.
fun. Yeah, it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, of course,
Yeah, references were not numbered because why would you? And it kind of seemed like a teenage prank, like somebody had done, gotten out over their skis and then realized like that maybe their academic, mentor was saying, "What are you doing here? This is
I
you've
don't
just
know.
ticked off one of the most famous physicians and scientists in the world."
Do
But
you think it's a sting or I don't know. The whole thing's so weird.
it's just so weird. But so there was no publisher, there was
No,
no journal. There was a
no.
preprint on Zenodo with fancy author names on it.
Hmm.
And the findings were neither provocative nor lucrative. It's not like there was some sort of, magic insight that was going to lead to somebody buying something new.
Yeah, that was the
Um,
other head scratcher on this. It's like if you're gonna fake a paper, then say something interesting. And there wasn't anything interesting about it. It's just,
right.
but AI in healthcare needs human guidance. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Eric
Yeah,
Topol probably would agree with the thesis.
right. Well, it was very similar to what I got ChatGPT to write on his behalf, or mimicking him very easily. You can
Hmm.
try it yourselves, folks. Write a paper like Eric Topol.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the deeper problems, is that you have all of these stochastic parrots out there who are willing to fake people out about the provenance of a work, which should not be allowed. But then also, who do you report the problems to? Is it CrossRef? No. ORCID, STM, Clarivate, Zenodo, Interpol, the local newspaper. But you know, this this the media space was leveraged to take care of this, which is a good thing, I guess. But again, this is the kind of thing that we should not have happening. Full
Mhm.
stop. And we are not governing this space well if this kind of thing happens. But here's where we get into the misdiagnosis, right?
Yes, we
With
we would like to give our second opinion to Dr. Topol.
with all due respect.
Yes.
So it didn't happen because of editors in a journal. It happened because of technology, incentives, and a lack of governance. And that is, we can say about a lot of things these days.
Hmm. So incentives, technology, and lack of governance. Full
Yeah,
stop. You
right.
can track most of things back to those three things.
Yep. You look around, that's the problem. So governance of when a journal can be considered established. It used to be you had to jump through hoops, you had to get certain sign off before you could establish a journal, before people would believe it existed, and you don't have to do that anymore.
No.
Zenodo,
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's always a two-parter, right? You establish
mm-hmm,
a journal, but it doesn't count until it's indexed.
right,
And so you have to prove to the powers that be at the major indexing organizations, whether it's public like Medline or private like Scopus and Clarivate, that this content is worth them putting
right. That you're
into their
you're
mix.
you're
Yeah.
supporting it adequately. You've got a stable
Yeah.
publishing framework. That
Yeah.
you've got the right editorial checks and balances in place. That you've got a community in mind and all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
And none of that needs to happen now. So that's one issue. Then you have Zenodo, which has a history of being exploited, but has done little to nothing about it. And that's another whole issue. But here's to me the kind of the crux of the matter, that it got a DOI, and
Yep.
that's the only real thing in this, right? It
That's
was a real
that's such
DOI,
a good point. Yeah, everything was fake except for that DOI.
right? And you and I have been talking about this. I've been thinking about it for a long time. The DOI, whether CrossRef, EdPence, and whoever wants to believe it in their board, the DOI is now a brand,
Hmm.
right? That formulation of 10 dot whatever slash whatever is a branded element. We've seen gaslight journals mimic that in order to fool people. We've seen pseudoscience grifters using it in their listings of scientific information that they pay to play publishing, that they've put in MDPI and Frontiers journals to give the false air of certification and reinforce this whole idea. We've seen predatory publishers boast about it on their websites. When they get a DOI, we now have a DOI, like they've
Yeah.
passed some sort of certification
Yeah,
barrier.
that's the major it's the major marketing. It's like, okay, yeah, we can pay us and we'll get you a DOI. Ooh.
Right. And the only time I've seen Crossref respond to a predatory publisher was when the FTC came down on Omics and they revoked Omics's membership, which
Hmm.
I thought might be the beginning of a good trend where they might start scrupulously examining their membership roster to eliminate predatory publishers. But that never happened because that's just not in their incentive structure. So they don't want that role. But here's the thing, they don't get to choose. When
Okay.
the well,
Explain that. Yeah.
okay, so I will, because this is something I feel strongly about. When you have brand, you don't own it. Your customers own it. The market owns it. And you have to accept what the market is saying about your brand. And what the market is saying about the CrossRef DOI brand is that is a certification element. And so you need to take that in and treat it as a serious condition of you managing that brand.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not going to manage a certification element as a certification element, then you're abdicating your responsibility with that brand. And so that's the problem of having a brand. It's both the pro and the con. You have something that has a lot of power in the market, but you don't own what it means.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're on the CrossRef board and you're like, well, we don't intend it to be that, not your choice.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
gone on too long. And the other thing I've been thinking about is that the CrossRef is an organization that's funded by its member constituents who
Mm-hmm.
pay into um, the operations to create and distribute these DOIs, and they do a lot of other things. That's very
Right.
simplified.
Right.
But there are voting members, and there are some who pay more than others
Mm-hmm.
who could make different decisions. But I don't know that they want to, because if you point the finger at one member, then somebody else could point a finger back at you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's part of the whole situation here. I don't want to, I don't want to tattletale on, you, because somebody might end up tattletaling on me, and then how's this going to break down? And it seems like
Right.
it's easier just to give them out and take the money
That's
to
all
support the
correct.
organization than
Yeah.
it is to be discerning or start to have a point of view.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. But that's the cyber libertarian point of view is that,
yeah,
we're just enforcing a technical, we just are filling a technical role.
right.
But what this indicates is that you're doing more than that. You actually have a brand on the market, and when somebody sees a DOI, they think that that's a trust marker.
Hmm.
They think that's a certification marker, whether you like it or not. Crossref, that's just how
Yeah.
it is. I've managed a lot of brands, and what like one of the Ben McKenzie talks a lot about the U.S. dollar. It's a
Yeah.
brand,
Yeah.
but you know what? It's a brand also associated with
What?
drug running. I mean, you see a lot of dollar bills in movies about crime because it
Hmm.
is the world's most prominent and most stable currency. And so a lot of people want to traffic in it who are up to no good, right? They want cash and all of that. So that's a brand element of the US dollar. And they can't control
Yeah.
that, but they try to, right? They
Hmm.
try to control counterfeiting. They try to control, all the crimes that are being done with it. But you have a brand, Crossref, that you can control much better, and you need to accept that it's a brand. The other thing that's interesting, I looked at their DOI resolutions over time,
Yeah. How's that going?
and well, it was shocking. I saw something I didn't expect to see. That's for sure. So the growth over time was kind of gradual until this year, and then it almost doubled. And I don't know
Yeah.
why that is. And I think it's
Uh,
because AI is dumping a ton of papers
yep.
out there, and they're all getting DOIs. And
Yeah,
and
they're getting DOIs via preprint servers in addition to the
hmm
publishers,
hmm
right? And so, yeah, I'm looking at this chart.
yeah,
Wow.
we'll put it in the post, and that's that's astounding, isn't it?
Yeah, it went from under 2 million to almost
Four and a half.
four and a half
Yeah,
this very year.
right, right.
We're not even done with this year. We're not even close
No,
to halfway
it
through.
was just through March. So we've got Gold OA, we've got preprints, we've got AI generated papers, we've got the automated box of confusion, and all of this is built on the brand of the DOI.
Yeah.
right? And the people running CrossRef are not managing the DOI as a brand. This kind of escalation of resolutions, it would be very interesting to be a fly on the wall of their board meeting to say, is this good news or is this cause for concern? If
Mm.
you're looking at the organization
Can
only
you,
as a,
but also, like, I hope they've got a lot of servers because that's a lot of
yeah,
traffic.
well, so if you're looking at it as only a technical execution of a resolution service, right?
Mhm.
You may be like, well, this is great because look at all the money that's coming in, but now we have to spend some of it on some new cloud services or servers or whatever, right? We need to do
Mhm.
some load balancing. That might be the end of the board discussion. I don't know. But if you look at the DOI as a brand, you may say, you know what, this brand is being openly and flagrantly abused,
Mhm.
and we are not in control of it anymore. We probably lost control of it 5 years ago, but now it's completely, because you look at how it flattens out in about 2020.
Yeah.
That's probably the normal, the normal. And then it starts
Yeah.
escalating because of all the other things that have gone. But anyhow,
All the extra stuff.
it's kind of shocking. So we think that you know, Eric Topol, God love him, he's great, he's fantastic, and
Mhm.
we're sorry this happened, but we think that this is incentives, technology, and a lack of governance, and the lack of governance really, and all of those things resolve. You like that, Jim?
Haha.
At CrossRef around the DOI, because their incentives, their technology, and their lack of governance is at the heart of the only real thing of this story, which is the DOI.
Yeah.
So
I know
CrossRef, step
that
up.
that
You got a brand.
it's funny though that we performed our, Dr. House diagnosis on Eric Topol's bad day and it, comes back to DUI.
Yeah.
Doi. It's funny.
Sometimes you hear the hoof beats. A lot of times it's not a zebra. It's just a horse. And this case, it was the horse named Doi. All right.
Right.
So let's move on to our discoveries of the week.
All right, let's do it.
All right. Discoveries of the week. Joy, you get to kick this one off. So get us
All
going.
right. So, do you follow elite fishing tournaments?
Shockingly, no.
Okay, good. Neither do I. But there is some big news in the world of bass fishing this
Mm,
week. Christine Fisher, Fischer,
okay. Phew.
is a fisher lady, and she's the first one to qualify for the Bassmaster Elites tournament. So
Nice.
it's the first time a lady fisher is getting to go to the big
Lady
leagues.
Fisher, name Fisher.
Named Fisher. Yeah. So I'm super psyched for her. But it's got the world of fishing, turned upside down. Oh, how's she gonna do? But she learned to fish for bass in her kayak and she built a
Mm,
YouTube channel and she was really good. And now she's got a boat. But hopefully she will be a contender for the $100,000 award for getting the most
wow.
weight on 5 fish. So
Wow. There's some real money in
yeah.
that
Yeah.
Bassmaster Elite world.
Yeah. Talk about women in sports and
Yeah.
this is the flip side is, it's just
Yeah.
a girl who's good at fishing. So good luck, Christine. I'll be
Yeah.
watching.
Awesome. That's great. Have you ever fished out of a kayak?
No.
It's a very good way to fish. It's a very good way to fish,
Yeah.
especially if she's going for bass because it's shallow water. So it's great to
Hmm.
have that kind of boat, and it's very comfortable.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've fished out of a kayak a few times, and I've actually enjoyed the heck out of it. So it reminds me I probably should do that again. But
I like kayaking, but it's just there's a lot of moving parts. I can't imagine having a fishing pole involved. Like I just need to make sure that I don't lose my paddle.
yeah, it does keep you frosty. That's for sure. Keeps you focused. All right, that's awesome. Good job. All right, good luck, Christine.
Yeah.
So my discovery of the week is, so I have a friend who I adore because he's always bringing me the strangest stories in the world. And he's just fantastic to have lunch with. And we had lunch the other day, and he was talking, he said, have you ever heard about yam masks?
What?
Yeah, yam masks.
Yeah,
So I
Max?
had not, yam masks.
Okay.
So apparently in Papua New Guinea, the yams grow as big as pigs. Like they're huge. And they're so big that they have an annual festival when the biggest yams are trundled through town, carried through town, and celebrated for their size, shape, and beauty and lusciousness. But to add to it, they create these masks for them, like they're little people they're carrying around. And
Oh,
they put masks and they did how they're designed and what they symbolize and all this kind of stuff. They do all of that. And so they have yam masks.
so
And there's a whole
they put a mask on the
on
giant
the yam.
sweet potato
Yeah,
and they
on
give
the
it a
giant
face.
and give it a face, and it's supposed to, have some sort of, expression of the carrier's belief and worldview and all that kind of stuff. But I guess the leftover when they're done, the masks are saved and increasingly collectible, and so there's kind of become this art trade in yam masks from Papua New Guinea. And I had no idea. And I'm just eating lunch with my friend. I'm just like, you bring me the craziest, best stories ever.
Yeah.
And yeah, so thank you. You know who you are. And I'm not going to
Yes.
divulge because I want to keep my unique source to myself. But if you ever have lunch
Yeah.
with this guy, you may realize who it is. But
Well, I
he's
gotta look.
fantastic.
That's awesome. So that there, I wonder if there's like a whole art trading, world
Oh,
in these. I'd love to see one on Antiques Roadshow. Would they
there
be able to
is. So
identify it?
there is what's it called? There is a site, Fine Art Bidding or something like that. There's a site where you can go out and do like eBay, but for fine art. And
Mm-hmm.
and he does that too. And you
Yeah.
can get all this strange artwork out there and bid on it and watch it. And it's like eBay for, and there's all these crazy stories about all these artists who have been discovered in, Aboriginal lands and all these places and you got rich quick and because their art got hot on this site and all this kind of stuff. But that's for another day. All
Yeah.
right. So yam masks and Christine Fisher chasing the Bass Master prize. Pretty good.
Yes. There we go.
All right. All right, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to our friends at Provoke the Truth for the music. If you have topics you want us to cover, please email us at disruptedscience@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. You can also keep up with developments of the Geyser, where you can subscribe to support our efforts. And thanks for listening.
Thank you. See you later.